So you might have heard some talks online, at your workplace, if you work with a Microsoft provider. Oh, SharePoint is dead. SharePoint is done. It doesn't have a future. Should we even offer SharePoint to our customers? Oh my God, you might have heard that. So in this video, I'll break it down. If you work in SharePoint, if you're looking to learn about SharePoint, or in fact, you're a customer, a user, considering SharePoint, let me break down to you everything about this equation, and I'll convince you that the merit of this equation is completely wrong and SharePoint is actually growing rather than dying, and I'll show you the evidence. Hi everyone, my name is Ihab. I'm principal architect, over 18 years of experience, specialized in Microsoft modern work, digital workplace technologies, and I've been working with SharePoint since its 2007 version, and since then I've been building solutions, intranets, document management, collaboration, and what have you, automation through SharePoint to clients from all over the world, from gold mines, health sector, education sector, creative industries, and so on. So we had the health crisis period. Everyone started to work remotely, pretty much. They had to by law. People started to jump on the cloud computing and the digital workplace. Naturally, they started utilizing platforms like SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams. So they ended up transferring their files from the obsolete legacy systems into the cloud on SharePoint Online. In 2024, the case for such requirement is no longer hot as it once was. Hence, people in the space, close to the space, they say things like, oh, SharePoint is dead. SharePoint is no longer needed. Do you know why they say that? Because they don't understand SharePoint from the first place. And I'm talking about people in the space. I'm talking about consultants. I'm talking about IT managers who still treat SharePoint as it was in its early versions, 2010. 2007, 2013. They haven't evolved with SharePoint. To many in the space, unfortunately, SharePoint is a dumping ground for files. Once a company signs off a migration project, they lifted and shifted their documents from the file server into SharePoint, it's done. Well, from the first place, this is not the purpose of SharePoint. SharePoint is not meant to be a dumping ground for files. It's not sold as such by Microsoft, and in fact, Microsoft has recommendations and best practices all over its official documentation, advising against these kind of lift and shift scenarios for so many different reasons: collaboration, efficiency, security, and so on. So naturally, when an organization already dumped their files on SharePoint, the project is done. Also, the market doesn't have many SharePoint projects. Well, if you understood SharePoint, if you understood what it does, if you are following what Microsoft is investing and adding in SharePoint, you would actually think, you would know it's the complete opposite. So let's just start with this. What is SharePoint? So let's take it from there. So it does give you document management services. It does give you communication features to provide the business with the utility to message across the business. You can use it to manage information in its different forms, whether it's pages, whether it's lists, what have you, simple automations, advanced automations, intranet experiences, collaboration spaces, and also, not to mention that Microsoft Teams is built on SharePoint as well, just in case people forgot. So all these needs, they haven't gone away. They still exist. So the use case for using SharePoint is pretty much there. Now, if you add AI to the conversation, the custom copilots that utilize SharePoint, the fact that you can use Copilot in many different ways for specific cases, wider cases, etc., SharePoint is pretty much needed. And if we look at the ADA model that Microsoft talks about, where the data starts and how it can be leveraged, architected, built properly to be AI ready, SharePoint pretty much is in the heart of this. If SharePoint wasn't on the map of Microsoft, why would they invest all the new innovations and product updates for the past 12 months? Brand Center, a new section experience, a new web parts options, SharePoint Advanced Management, SharePoint AI capabilities with Syntax, SharePoint Premium, and so on. And I missed a lot of other exciting things that have been added already. So all that tells us SharePoint is actually growing. Do you know what the challenge is? People are not following up the roadmap. People are not evolving their understanding of the product the way the product moves. They look at it as a one-dimensional solution to dump their files in. Hence, they don't understand it. Believe me, I work with SharePoint. I work with the clients from all walks of life. Many of them, rightly so, because it's not their field, they don't understand it. So it's my job, my responsibility to clarify it, to simplify it, to explain it to them so they can see the kind of value they can get from it. And I must say, in most cases, I'm successful. Do you know where I face the most challenge when dealing with these kind of things is with technical people, not people who have business acumen, business driven by business requirement. IT people some of them tend to look at the solution as we are still in 2010. They talk about challenges. The other, like sometimes you end up in calls and someone would tell you, oh, but in SharePoint you can't drag and drop. And I was like, yes, 10 years ago, not now. So this is a problem. We as people in this space need to ensure to the people in management, people in exec positions, that they understand the product has evolved quite a lot. It's how we go to the market, is how we show the value of all these new additions that we have. In fact, if IT departments grasp the idea of how SharePoint Advanced Management would make their lives easier, they would be singing praises about SharePoint day and night. All the things that they had to do, PowerShell there, PowerShell there, they can't run a report, they don't see who, having all these multifaceted reporting that they couldn't do in the past, they could do all that now. All the manual processes that they needed to do, they can automate now. Imagine that you could do actions based on the reporting, what it returns for you. So sites that haven't been used for a certain time, okay, that's fine. Set up your rule, set up an action, boom. Like all these sprawling, all these problems that IT needed to deal with manually in the past. Now, not only you can flag them, you could actually do actions around them. So what I'm trying to say, especially for people who are starting in this field, don't overlook SharePoint. Learn it, because there is a lot of need for SharePoint. My observation is the offering of SharePoint from the specialists need to be upgraded, need to be communicated differently so people can see its value. One of the things that I find unfortunate sometimes in the market, in SharePoint in particular, back like a few years back, you would find a good paying job for a junior to be only a SharePoint administrator without needing to be a Power Automate guru, an Azure expert, an AI, etc. Now, unfortunately, the job market has so much unrealistic expectations from people. So you would say, oh, why would I learn SharePoint? Why would I only learn that? While the reality on the ground is very different. Partners and organizations who get it and understand it, they do their job specs in a way that's realistic and shows you the value. Now in the market, like when you are junior, unfortunately, you kind of expected to be have knowledge and expertise in most of what Microsoft offers, rather than being expert in a certain field. But what I'm trying to do in this video, and hopefully I demonstrated that SharePoint is alive, SharePoint is well, it's thriving, Microsoft are investing in it, companies still need it. It's up to us, the specialists in the field, to communicate with everyone the value that it brings to the table. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Take care for now.